All right, everyone, we are here with a very special guest. We are joined by actor and now author Lukas Gage. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I'm excited.
We are so happy to have you here.
Me too.
We are so excited that you wrote this book. One, I love the book title.
Thank you. It's great.
It is.
It's great.
It is. But you got pushback.
I got a lot of pushback. A lot.
I was going to say, this was an original idea.
It was an original idea. No one was asking for it. No one was coming to me.
The title is I Wrote This for Attention.
I wrote this for
those who
attention.
Don't know. It's out today, October 14th, so very
Yes.
exciting. But why did you get pushback?
I think, from the publishers and the agents, I don't think they really understood that it was tongue in cheek. I think they thought it was really serious. And they're like, well, you don't want to tell people you're writing a book for money and attention. And I'm like, no, I know that. That's the whole point is like, you're going to get scrutinized for that. You're going to get shit for it. So you might as well
make the joke about it.
You might as well hit it while you can before anyone else does.
It's being self-aware because there are so many memoirs now,
Yes.
and everybody writes a book, but they're all so interesting. Learning about people and being so honest about your life is incredibly interesting, especially everything that you wrote about in this memoir. We want to dive into all of it. Were you nervous to release the book? Did you warn anybody who was mentioned? Anything of that sort?
Yeah, no, I was nervous for sure, and it was like I had I felt like I had a vulnerability hangover where I'm like, did I do too much? And then, but ultimately, it doesn't belong to me anymore. Like I released it, and it's not mine anymore, and it's not up to me. Whatever people think about is none of my business. And the people that do matter and I do care about, they did read it for the most part. Or maybe they lied to me, but my family, gave me the stamp of approval of talking about these like really dark, crazy things that are in the book. But yeah, I go back and forth, and I like to pretend I don't care and it's going to be fine. But there's moments where I'm like, did I need to say about my 2 STDs? And then it became a clickbait for all over the internet. But whatever. They're easy ones. They're mild.
Right. And you mentioned a line that I think is very interesting that you said, like, it's none of their business what they think about me.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because I feel like, you tell yourself that. We all tell ourselves that. But on the other side of it, you're like, but I'm nosy.
Yeah.
And I do want to know what they think of me.
I do, and I always probably will, but it won't consume me in the way that it used to before. Like I used to look for bad stuff, and it would fuel this dark part of my brain that like was like, I want to read all the negative things. I like got off on it, but now, of course, I'm gonna look at reviews. Of course, I'm gonna like see what people connected to the book, but I just don't let it take over my life like it once did.
Yeah, and I think that there's a way, especially with the like life that you've lived, where there's times where it's like you get to tell the story your own way and not like, oh, this got posted online somewhere, now I'm being asked about it, this story like spiraled. It's kind of a way to be like, well, now here's literally everything, and now you all know everything. Right.
No, I agree with that, and I feel like I'm not great at speaking sometimes, so I'm like, every time someone asks me a question that I've been asked a bunch, I'm like, I'm just gonna put it in a book and be like, here it is. I'm gonna write it out much better than however I'm gonna tell it, and you're not gonna hear this, just manufactured version of the story that's been, like a game of telephone of what is the truth. Like there's so many things out there that are just not true.
I was really pleasantly surprised, and I also think it's because I personally have the worst memory. Like I cannot remember things from like last month.
Yeah.
So anybody that can write a book like this where there are very detailed childhood memories.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how did you have any issues kind of reaching back to that time of your life?
Well, luckily I had all these journals that I kept my whole entire life. A lot of them I lied to, so that wasn't helpful. I was just fully lying about my whole entire life to myself. But I think I say a line in the opening of the book that's like, some things have been embellished and, my version or my perspective of what I think is true, and that's how stories are told. But, everything in there is factual. The dialogue is for sure. I don't remember what the fuck I said when I was 6 years old, but there's that part of me that's going to embellish it and make it sound more interesting for the sake of telling a story.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start journaling? And were you so happy when you decided to write a book? You're like, I do have all these journals.
I don't know what was the thing that made me want to buy all these journals as a kid. I think I knew I wanted to write, and I was a big reader as a kid. I mean, like Shel Silverstein and like children's books, like. But I just loved books, so I think at an early age I think I watched Harriet the Spy, and I saw that she had like a little notebook, and I just wanted to copy her and record everything down, and I just wanted to tell stories all the time. So I was crafting it in my notebook before I would lie to people about it.
I'm gonna really make sure this story pops first.
Yeah, exactly.
And you are like a self-admitted liar, you say.
Yeah, self-proclaimed liar.
You're a self-proclaimed liar. And, Mike White, that's written on the back of the book. But you're so honest in here.
Yeah.
How do you deal with when people are like, well, you say you're a liar, but then you're saying this is the truth?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Because everyone's a liar. Everyone is always lying. And I think, I frame it in a way like, especially as a kid, it was a way to try to change the narrative and be in control of like my story. And I acknowledge, that lying was a helpful tool until it wasn't. Yeah. And then I have to get honest in the book. But for sure, I definitely, it's like, how are you going to be a reliable narrator if chapter 1 you're just saying I'm literally the biggest liar ever? But I think, part of that is just me being honest about my lying.
Right. Yeah. You're also telling the truth then.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love how you start the book too, because I think like it was something that I had to go back and read twice because at first I was like, wait,
me too.
I was like, wait, I know, like, I'm like, am I not getting this? Like, and then the second time I was like, okay, now I get it. But it's a great way to pull people into the book. Can you kind of talk about that opening intro?
Yeah, because I thought you were really admitting to something.
I was like, wow, okay, I didn't know this about him.
Well, I think, first of all, it was in the middle of the book, so maybe that's why it took you a second because I changed it last minute to the beginning because I was like, God, it's just such a good opening line. I killed the kid, but I kept going back to that chapter about how like I killed this part of myself when I was just like tortured at this school and wanted to create this whole new persona. But it kept coming back to me, and it was like a common thematic through line of like all these areas where I'd been performing my whole life and then killing that character that I'd played, and like it just felt like it set the tone for the whole entire book. And I wanted the opening line to just be a banger,
It was because I thought to myself, how has this not made the headlines? Jojo Siwa, he wants Jojo Siwa to play in the biopic, but not this.
I do.
So that it definitely roped people in.
Oh, thanks.
You mentioned earlier when people ask you sort of the same questions and you want to write it all down. I'm sure in interviews now you've been asked about that audition that went viral that, I think stunned everybody. Do you think that directly affected anything going forward, or were you kind of like, this was funny that it happened, but this has no reasoning as to why anybody knows who I am?
I think in the moment my thought was it's funny and it was just a funny thing, and then it took on this whole entire thing. I would be lying if I said like that didn't change the trajectory of my life and didn't affect me and I didn't get jobs from it, and another sense of it too, like with both of those things, both those things, I didn't say what the other thing is. The other thing is like, getting married on a reality show is like a lot of people are like, oh, you're doing it for the clout, you're doing it to get jobs. And I'm like, you don't see the behind the scenes stuff, which I talk about in the book of like, no, that was like actually jeopardizing some of the opportunities that were coming my way, and like was a hindrance of letting people get lost in the character or me as an actor, or, it took precedent over all the work I had done with just the personal headlines. And then you're just suddenly like, you're not an actor, you're a public, figure that's like kind of reality adjacent. And it was just like, it's hard to get past that for like on the industry stance of it. But I think at the time it was funny, and I'm sure there was a part of me that wanted validation and wanted to be like wanted attention and people to click it and like it and tell me that like I did a good job or like good for you. But there's also another part of it that I think people might be surprised by, that it's not always a good thing to get that kind of attention.
Right.
You know?
And it did seem like that was a worry for you when you were writing about it. I loved that of all the people that you named who either shared or commented or had something to say about that moment, Joe Jonas was the one you included in the book. Why him specifically?
I don't know. I think it was like, there was like all these, it was like a bunch of alliterations. I think it was like Jake Gyllenhaal, Joe Jonas, and like Jojo Siwa. No, she didn't. There was another J name, and then I was just, I don't know why. Sometimes my brain like does weird things at once, just like alliterations. I think I do remember having a conversation though where I was like freaking out when I did the video, and I was like, I think I blew up my career. Like everyone's mad at me. My agents are mad at me. And then my friend Phoebe was like, Joe Jonas is commenting how cool you are. Like, chill out. And I was like, okay, I'm good.
Right. You're like, I made it.
I made it. The Jonas Brothers know who I am.
Yes. That's how we feel. So we can relate to that. You know, you mentioned your marriage and, you know, being reality TV. And did you feel like, you know, you're like, I did White Lotus, Euphoria, these, you know, some of the biggest TV shows ever. And you're like, now people know me from my quick marriage and divorce.
100%. And I think, you know, look, they weren't big parts in White Lotus and Euphoria and American Vandal and these like shows that I was starting to do. And so it was like a weird thing where most people, they become a working actor and then they start to experience fame and like being a public figure. And in a way I was like, my trajectory was kind of backwards. It's like I had these moments of being a public figure before I was recognized for the acting. So it like was just confusing for other people and confusing for myself. And I just think I didn't prepare myself or realize how powerful the internet is, you know, and like virality is such a crazy, weird thing, and people can be famous in 5 seconds now for anything. And it's just, I think dealing with that and just not really feeling like my work was, you know, I wasn't like getting appreciated for the work or like I had really made a name for myself or done enough. I was like, wait, I don't deserve this recognition, or I don't deserve, not that I'm that famous, but like for a moment in that week where that viral video happened or the marriage happened, it did feel like, well, I didn't even make my mark as an actor yet. Like, this is not what it's about. This is not what I wanted. You know, and it's, I think that's the whole thing with this book. It's like the title's very tongue in cheek and very like self-deprecating and aware, but it's like, it was true. Like I wanted attention, I wanted validation, I wanted fame, and then I got it. And then I was like, wait, I don't want it now. I don't want this kind. It's too much.
Is it hard for you to relive, you know, especially the marriage? You write about it in the book, but now you're doing press interviews. You're talking about it a lot. Is that hard for you?
I mean, it was like 3 months.
Right.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's not that hard. I think the hard stuff for me to talk about is probably the mental health and the sexuality and that, you know, which is weird. I don't like that I have, or I still do have shame, or I feel like little when I talk about it. But those things for me were harder to put down into words and like really dig deep and not, you know, I do have a lot of jokes in here and lead with humor, but like, I'm like, okay, maybe I can go deep. Maybe I can actually get down to what it is at the core.
Yeah. You really write about your relationship with your mom in the book, which it just seems awesome.
She's a badass.
And that's one area specifically, I think, you know, having that kind of conversation about your sexuality with your mom and putting that in the book. What was that conversation like to have with her?
I mean, I'm so lucky. I'm so grateful. I think in my head, I thought I wasn't going to be loved by her if she knew about my sexuality. I don't know what made me have this untrue like theory that I was going to be unlovable. And then just to have her be so cool about it and be like, oh, great, let me meet your boyfriend. Let's do it right now. Why would you hide that from me? Like, you're a freak. Not because you're gay, but because you're hiding your boyfriend. What the hell? And look, I feel like I'm a very specific, or not specific, but I'm very grateful that everyone was really cool to me, and anyone who wasn't that cool to me, like, that important to me. So I'm very lucky in that sense.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Anybody who wasn't cool, but they just don't belong in your life. And they're not cool in general. You don't want their approval.
Loser.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're freaks.
Yeah, they're freaks. Exactly.
And, you talk about your mental health. You talk about borderline personality disorder.
Yeah.
What led you to that diagnosis?
Honestly, what led me to the diagnosis was being in a relationship, not the public marriage relationship, but a relationship right before it where basically I was ghosted, cheated on, and my sense of self, everything was just completely lost, and I spiraled. Like I lost it. I was unable to go to work, unable to be a good friend, be a good family member. Like I just was a mess. And finally I got to the point where my family and my reps actually were like, you actually have to go somewhere and figure this shit out, because you running away to like go on this manic episode to Miami and like cry on set is not working, and you're becoming a liability. And so for me, I felt like once I got that diagnosis and went to this facility and got the help and like the right help, it was a long journey. We had some detours, as you'll find out in the book, but once I figured it out, like it was filled with shame, and I was like, I need to keep this on the DL. Like I'm just starting as an actor, you don't want to put that out there. You don't want people to know that you're like a liability, quote unquote. And when writing the book, I was like, screw that. Like, let's stop stigmatizing it. Let's stop, having all these misconceived ideas about this disorder. And like, I'm not a liability anymore. I'm not a nightmare to work with. I'm not, I just had this moment in time, and it's a part of me, but it doesn't define me. And you can get better. And if I can help anyone out there reading the book, like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I was going to say, I hope you know how many people you really are helping and how many people can relate to this. And
that's nice.
Seeing someone like you who is so successful be so honest about this. And like you said, it's like destigmatizing it. It's like, you're not hard to work with. You're not hard to be with. Like, it's not any of these things. People can relate to that.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think I was inspired by other people's stories that were more brave than I was, like Julia Fox and other people who are, I know for a fact, are lovely to work with and incredible and so talented and had the the courage to share their story. I was like, I need to stop keeping this like a secret. And also I don't like that it is something that feels like it needs to be a secret. I just think that's bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And it can also help people who may be going through something and they don't know why they're going through something. They're like, oh, well, maybe I can talk to somebody about this and find the answers themselves. So I think it's fantastic that you're opening up about everything in here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that seeing it talked about in a normal way from someone who, you see like the success, it does make you think like, oh, it's not bad. It's not, people are going to go, ooh, that's the case there. So that is so true. I think hearing also like reading about the journey from like childhood into the relationships with your brothers and everything, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what? I think when you jump around, you hear this story, that story, whatever, and then you're like, oh, but when you start from the beginning and make your way through, it's like, oh, well, all of these things certainly add up. And I know that's what everyone says when you finally start going to therapy and everything, and they're like, well, let's talk about your childhood, because that's probably the root of a lot of things.
It is. And this disorder is rooted in trauma. It's from trauma, and I think writing this book, and a lot of people don't have the luxury to take a year to just write a book and go deep on themselves, but it makes sense. And I think for so long I was like hard on that 15-year-old kid. I was like, why was I so chaotic? Why was I so impulsive? Why were these relationships so
And you saw
intense?
a lot.
I saw a lot, and I dealt with a lot, and I didn't have the tools. So I was just, I think like even the drugs and the dealing and the fighting and the this and that, like that was just all ways to A, want to connect, and B, want to feel something, because I didn't know what to do with all my feelings and all my shit. So I think suddenly, there was resistance in getting this disorder and like wanting to be like, fuck that, I'm not gonna label myself that, and I'm not gonna put this like stamp on me forever. But then you look at the series of events that took me here, and I can have compassion and be like, I love that kid. I'm so grateful for that 15-year-old psychopath. I love him. You know, he was amazing, and he was just doing the best he could and didn't have the right tools, and ultimately that part of me that was a little, you know, a little brash or impulsive, like led me to where I am now, and was helpful and useful.
Yeah, you can totally tell that storyteller was in you from the beginning. When do you think you realized, like, I want to use that to become an actor?
I mean, I would say it as a kid on like 3-year-old home videos. I was going to be an actor, but I don't know. I think maybe I would probably say like when I went to acting camp and 9-10 years old and like got up on stage and made these little videos with the camera, like in my neighborhood, like that was like really when I was like, I think I need to do this. And then it did a little detour, and then we came back. Yep.
I loved reading about you know, that first, just like the description line of your character in the White Lotus. You're like, I can play this. Like this is this is for me. And it seemed like you know, not that it comes easy, but it seemed like it was like, oh no, you got this, and there wasn't too much back and forth on that role.
That one was. I mean, I auditioned for one other role before it, which is usually the case with me. I feel like I go in for like the bigger part, and then they're like, we like you, but not quite enough for this one. But we have this other one. But that one wasn't too much of a. I remember the Euphoria one being like, I went in for every single role. And I was like, oh my God. That one felt like a little bit easy. And the minute I saw it, I was like, I can do this in my sleep. Yeah. Like, this is mine. Yeah. This is mine.
Did you have any idea how huge the White Lotus was going to be?
No. Yeah. I mean, I was like, how could it not work?
You're like, I hope.
I hope. And Jennifer Coolidge and Molly Shannon and like HBO, like it felt like a no-brainer. But I'm a little bit surprised. Not surprised because it's so fucking amazing. It hit at the right moment, like during COVID, and there was like nothing to watch and everyone wanted to escape. Like it had all the right pieces for it to be a hit.
Yeah, now the loyal fan base that it has now, it just exploded.
It's insane.
Yeah. What was being on set with Jennifer like?
Everything you would want it to be and more. Like, she is so funny and just so kind. Like, I think that she has been around so long, and I think that is the people that stick around are because like they're good people. Like, I think you can be very talented, but not if you're not a good person, like you'll get weeded out, you know. Like, people just don't want to work with nightmares anymore, and she is the kindest person ever. I remember when we left, the whole hotel staff was actually crying when she left.
Oh my gosh.
Like crying because they loved her.
You know what? I love hearing that.
I love her so much. There's just something about her that you feel like, I don't know, you feel seen by Jennifer Coolidge, you know?
Oh, that's awesome. Is she one of the people you get asked about the most of all the actors you've worked with?
Yeah, I would say Coolidge is up there. Coolidge is probably...
Has to be, right?
Yeah, Coolidge and Jake Gyllenhaal probably is the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think can't imagine. Because I feel like she's one of those people that you hope she's exactly as she is. Yeah. And then you see her in interviews or at an award show and you're like, oh, she totally is. Yeah. Like, you're like, what was just the Emmys, I think, or
it might have been the Emmys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Emmys. Yeah.
Where I was like, they're joking about rushing everybody off the stage, but Jennifer Coolidge will have, that was like 5 minutes for her.
Yeah. And I feel like you
presenting.
You can tell like she's not somebody who can hide themselves.
No.
Like that is not a character. She is not hiding herself. She's not changing herself for anybody.
No, she's not. Yeah. She's not shape-shifting to like make anyone happy. Yeah. I like want to inherit that part of of her and be like, oh, like she doesn't try to people please in any way. I mean, she's just a kind person, but what you see is what you get with her, and you're like, I love that about her.
I know. It is inspiring, right?
It is inspiring.
I just want to be that.
I want to be that unapologetically myself, and that like take it or leave it, baby. Yeah, you know?
Exactly.
But also, like, it's such a testament to staying that way because we are so young and she's been working at this for so long that it's like it came to her a little bit later for everyone to be like, please don't ever change a single thing about you. But it was, it wasn't.
It worked out.
We're it's later.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she just took the long course and was like, I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna like try to fit into some box. And thank God she didn't. If she wouldn't have this moment right now, you know.
Yep,
that is true.
That is so true.
You talked about Euphoria. You talked about auditioning for every single role, trying to fit into that show.
Yeah.
And there's so much discussion around Euphoria.
Yeah.
You know, how do you feel being on the show and then seeing the discussion that goes around it, the narrative that goes into being on that show?
I mean, I think like it's so interesting because I was just in it for a little bit in the very beginning before it even, you know, I was in season 1 and I didn't know how massive it would become. And so I'm kind of just like on the sidelines peripherally watching it like everyone else and, you know, surprised by how massive it became, but also it makes sense. And what was the question?
The narrative around the set of Euphoria and how people talk about being on the show.
Right.
And there's always different, and like then the actors come out and they're like, no, it's great. You know, there's so many different narratives that go along with being on that show.
I think everyone's narrative that everyone can have multiple versions and different perspectives, and that's not that it's not true, and everyone can have different experiences of what it was and what it was for them. And for me, early on, I don't know what it has become or what it is now, but it was nothing but like a really nurturing thing. And I just think, you know, Sam took a chance on me and fought for me. So yeah, but it's crazy how big it got.
And you're right, everyone can have their own experiences.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it doesn't mean that each person isn't true. Like I think, you know, people can read this book and be like, you know, I'm sure like an ex or a family member would be like, I didn't feel like it went down this way. And it was interesting having that with like my mom. She was like, do you guys really feel this way? Do you feel like we grew up in a casino? And I'm like, ask my other brothers. And everyone was like, yeah, kind of. And in her head though, it wasn't that she was lying and she just had a different version of what she felt like went down.
It's so interesting too with like the way the pandemic affected different shows and different projects, because even just between the two we've been talking about, it's like with White Lotus, it hit in the right way, and with Euphoria it was like, well, now you know we're still waiting for another season, and it's been years. So it's like it's interesting, like the difference, and I think that has had a huge impact on the way people talk about those two shows too, because it's with Euphoria everyone's like, well, I mean, we need another season, and we needed like 2 years ago.
They're getting antsy.
Yeah, it's
big time.
Bringing up what you just said about your mom, and you know, talking about, you said it felt like a casino. Asked my brothers, and your mom's like, oh, I didn't know. Has the relationships in your life changed a little bit since being so honest in your book, where your mom, you know, you have a great relationship with your mom, and you are so honest about what it felt like growing up? Has she been like, oh, I'm gonna like change how I view this now, or is she still holding her own of how she viewed things?
I would say both. I would say it's a mixture of both. I would say for me personally, like talking about my past and digging into my past has helped me with me in the present. And I feel like talking about some of this family stuff has either reframed it for my brothers or my mom in a way that like they want to take accountability, maybe is the thing that comes to mind. But I also feel like it comes with them feeling like, especially my mom, like she did something wrong as a parent. And that's just not true. Like you can be the best parent in the world. You can protect your kids so fiercely, but like they're out in the world and like you have no control over that. So I think as a mother, especially hearing all the shit that happened to me and my brothers, like it feels like she could have done more.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's the hardest part.
I was going to ask, because it doesn't seem like you are looking for her to take accountability.
No, not at all. She was like an incredible mom, like did above and beyond. Yeah.
You know, anytime I feel like that many boys on your own, like it's obviously a journey, and having your older brothers along with you while you're writing this and everything, did they have certain things they were like, you really gonna put that in there?
That's a good question. I think, the thing that comes to mind is one of my brothers, Corey, who had a problem with heroin and all that crazy journey. And I think for him, I really wanted to be like, is it okay? Like, this is not your story to tell. So like and there was definitely some things in the earlier drafts that were, people were like, please, you gotta cut that. And it was like too crazy for the book. But for him to be so honest and him to be okay with me sharing that he had shot up next to me as a 12-year-old boy and like wanting, I think what he felt like is like really, he felt passionate about these places like the wilderness camps and like these rehabs and exposing these places that hurt vulnerable people and abuse vulnerable people. And like he was like, if this is helpful in telling this story and to get to that part of shedding light on it, like, please, you got to go for it.
Right.
So for him to be cool with that is really cool. Because it's, like I said, it's not his story. And I have to be like, someone might read that book and not want to work with you or something, like I don't want to ruin his future but people change.
Right. And you're right. Like, two people can be a part of something, right? Like you are watching him shoot up next to you, you're 12 years old. That obviously he dealt with his own shit and he has to talk about that himself. But at the same time, that also affected you greatly.
Right.
So it's like two people are part of a story and it's also your story as well. Because it can affect you in so many ways.
That feels really affirming to hear you say that. Like, I'm serious. Like I actually needed to hear that today. Thank you for saying that.
Oh, of course. I mean, I feel like, maybe not as deep as that or whatever, but many of us are a part of something that has shaped us in a way that is also part of your story, even though maybe the other side of it was a little bit darker.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say that passage especially stood out to me too, I was like, he's certainly telling the whole story, and I think everyone reading it is going to really appreciate that and get to know you on such a deeper level, which is really cool, because it's like coming out of, I think, like you said, coming out of the recent reality TV, the relationship, I think it's like this, it brings people back in. It's like, wait a second, this is, because reality TV does sometimes like put this film on people where you're like, oh, they're not like a real person, even though it's literally reality TV, but you're like, oh, them, come on, it's all for show now. Like, where's the substance? That's all the substance is in here for sure.
And even with family stuff, you know what I mean? Like, we see all these actors, we watch everybody on TV, even our friends, right? And everyone always says this, everyone has family shit. Everyone has stuff that they have dealt with. Everybody. And you don't even know the surface of it with some people. And that can really shape certain experiences. So for you to be so honest about all of that, I think it really can help people relate, because they're like, you know what? It's not just my family.
No,
you look at things, you go, I guess it's not just my family.
No, we all have shit in our family, and no one's family is perfect. No one is perfect, and I think there are some crazy stories in this book, but I think the thing about it is it's not that crazy, and it's universally very like relatable, and people can connect to it. And I think, like you said earlier, like, we see these little curated versions of ourselves on Instagram or in interviews where I'm like, excited to be here, because I'm like, it's crazy that I'm talking about my life in a book and like going on talk shows and stuff, but you don't get to see those moments where you're so lonely and so low. And I think we got to right now more than ever, because like Instagram and social media, it can really present like everyone else is living their fucking best life and no one's going through this shit. And it's like, it's just not true.
Right. And sometimes it can be hard to be vulnerable, because then you feel like people can take that and they run with, and it's like, it's a hard place.
You don't get to share the full story.
Right. Exactly. It's a hard space to be in right now, but a lot of it can be helpful.
Which is what I like somebody, especially because it's like, people write memoirs, and then when young people write memoirs, they're like, whoa, what do you have to say? Like, you barely lived your whole life.
I'm getting a lot.
But I actually think it's really cool when young people write it, because it is I think you get to go so much deeper into the earlier parts of your life than like, you know, someone in their 50s, 60s, whatever, writing their memoir.
Yeah.
Their teen years is maybe a chapter. Like
100%.
It's like they're, and sure, they have all this other stuff to share as well.
Yeah.
But like, I think other young people can relate to the young people writing their stories fully out like that.
It's definitely a premature memoir, and I'm definitely very aware of it.
Like, guess what? There can be another one.
There can be another one. And I didn't want to forget all these good stories, or I'd be too old, like you said. And I think, you know, it's like people like Jeanette McCurdy and Julia Fox, who like, you know, were also just rightly 30, writing their things and coming into adulthood. And to me, I like those stories. I don't want to hear about anyone who has it all together and figured it out. Like, that's boring. Or like, you know, these huge names that have had these crazy, and that's cool to read too, but it feels so unattainable and so far-fetched from anything close to my existence that like for me, those two books were the ones that I've like resonated with the most.
Yeah.
Those are two great examples.
Yeah.
We
really are
read
great
Jeanette
ones.
McCurdy's, had her on
So
to
good.
talk about it. Fantastic. And then Julia Fox, I cannot stop seeing people rave about her memoir. I
It's
just honestly
incredible.
downloaded it because I'm like,
Oh my
the
God,
way
you're gonna
that
love
people talk about her memoir, like
Yeah.
I've been seeing it nonstop lately.
Yeah.
They're
It's
just
one
like,
of the
it's
best
the
books.
greatest thing.
She was right. It is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And like,
I cannot wait.
it's
Like
incredible. The way that her prose, like the way that she writes, it's being fully transparent. I do kind of like fiction more than nonfiction, and the way that she writes, it feels like you're reading fiction, and I tried to kind of emulate a little bit of that in my book because I wanted to create the picture and like create these characters.
I think you could totally feel that.
Thank you.
With what you did.
You'll love Julia's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And I love
so
that you
good.
can, you know, you really can with a title like this. There can be. I wrote this for attention, part 2, part 3.
I wrote this for more attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
There's a sequel.
There's
right
a
there.
lot of ways to work with the title for when you want to when you want to add on to all of this.
Thank you.
We do have to sadly.
No,
wrap up.
oh my God, I'm thinking about what we talked about before the
No, I
podcast.
know, I
You guys don't want to talk to me.
We went over.
We went
Okay,
over
I'm
time.
kidding.
We are given a lot of
Yes.
amount of
I gotta
time,
say-
and we start getting this in the corner.
You're like,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah, exactly. We
You
went
guys
over,
are low-key like the Barbara Walters of our generation.
Oh my
I'm not
God.
kidding. This was really good.
Wow.
Thank you.
You guys asked
Thank you.
good questions.
Oh,
you
my
know, it's
gosh,
nice to
thank
be
you.
reminded sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
Really
we've been doing this
good.
for a really long time.
No, but you need to be validated. I'm going to give you attention right
Wow,
now
thank
that
you.
you deserve.
Lucas, thank you so
Thank
much.
you
We
so
do have
much.
one final question. It
Okay.
is thanks to Armani Beauty,
yes.
one of our lovely sponsors.
I worked with them once.
Yes, they are. they are fantastic. I think we've mentioned some major shows, franchises that you have worked with. What is something that's on right now, or a franchise that you'd be like, I would die to be a part of? Anything you're watching right now, you would want to be a part
A
of?
franchise?
Yeah, anything. Could be a show. Could be a series.
Okay, I'm going to go with. I would love to go in Below Deck, but I do not want to be.
That's not what I thought you were going to
No,
say. and
wait,
I
what
really
did- threw me off.
What did you think I was going to say?
I don't know. I thought I was
like
going
an
to get
HBO
like
show is
yeah,
going to get thrown in there. Another
No,
one.
I've done enough of that.
No. I would like to go down under. Thank you.
Listen,
I wanna
Below
go
Deck is
down
a
under.
fantastic
It's a
answer for two people who love.
fantastic
Yeah.
You
show.
know, yeah.
I want to be like a deck hand.
I was gonna say you want to
I wanna be
work
Chief
on the boat.
Stew.
You don't want to be.
I don't want to be
you
a
don't wanna
person
be,
on the boat.
on the yacht.
No,
You
there's a
wanna be
part of me
working
that
on
like
the yacht.
really wants to like work in the service industry again and like just be on a yacht.
That's the one. Hey, let me tell
That's
you.
a great answer.
Thank
I'm
you.
pretty sure Andy Cohen would love to have you.
Right.
I was just
I mean, you
came
can
from
make
Andy
a
from
guest
here, so-
appearance. Wow, really?
Yeah. I'm excited for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Below Deck combo that's happening
Yes.
this season. That is going to be lit.
You watch a lot
Yes.
of Bravo.
That's all I do.
Are you excited about the wife swap?
Wait, what?
You know about the wife swap that
What's
they're
the
doing?
wife's song?
They're housewife. They're doing a housewife show where they send a
Oh,
housewife
yes,
to a
yes,
to a
yes.
normal family, and then the normal mom goes to live with Joe Gorga.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said I'm really excited for the new Vanderpump Rules reboot, but I will be watching.
Do you watch My Housewives in Miami?
Yeah, of course.
Have you?
I'm not fully caught up.
Okay,
Do I need to?
you do.
Okay.
Maybe one of the. I watched it last night. That's why it's on my brain.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the best reunions
Really?
in a long time. We'll finish this up and I'll talk to you about it.
Okay,
It's
I got to catch up on this
You
season.
have to catch up. The season was fantastic, and then like we got a reunion where maybe for the first time ever, I think Andy like undersold the reunion.
Really?
Like I think he was like, it's crazy. There's something we find out we had no idea. I think he undersold it.
We needed a good reunion.
Yeah.
We needed one. We
Honestly,
were
like,
missing.
we're-
we were missing
Yeah,
a
we
couple
are.
of good
No, this is
reunions.
this is like
It's back. We're back. We're
so back. So
We're
back.
so back.
so back.
I know we said last question, but what is your favorite Bravo show? Because we just
Of all time.
Yeah, we love
Of
anything
all.
Bravo.
Okay. Well, I think I'll start with this. Right now, the best housewives is Salt Lake City. For me.
Yeah, right now,
I
definitely.
agree.
Right now.
I agree.
And I love them all for different
We
reasons.
just had Lisa Barlow in here, and she talked about putting the
Threads in her face.
threads in her face.
12 threads.
Yeah,
6
yeah.
on both sides.
But like
Yeah.
she explained the process of that,
And
and
the way-
holy moly,
You're
What
on
did
board?
she say to me? The way that she spoke to me about
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
she hit me with a honey and like
Honey?
she was like, "Oh, honey, it anchors right into the back of your
yeah,
scalp."
like something like
Oh.
she
I
was like, "It goes right into your skull." Because
exactly
you were like,
how
"Where
you
they
spoke
put
to
it
me
in?"
was how I wanted to be
Yeah,
spoken to
she's
by
like,
you.
"Oh, honey, it locks right into your your skull."
She is so crazy, but I
amazing.
can't help but love her.
Oh,
I mean, I love
same.
them all, and I vacillate between like wanting to kill them and loving them
Oh,
every
yeah.
other episode.
But that's what you want.
But that's what you want.
Yeah.
Lisa's really.
You want to like hate them,
Yeah.
but love them.
But yeah, exactly. They're doing their
No.
job then.
Especially this season, I'm like, Lisa, what is going on? But at the same time, love her.
I had a really hot take last night on Watch What Happens Live where I said I wanted Jen Shaw back, and people were like, "No."
Yeah. You know what? I
But
love
I
that
feel
hot. But that's a hot. When people are
I
asked
get
for a
what you're
hot
saying
take,
with that,
that's
yes.
a hot
I
take.
wanted to give him a hot take.
There's very lukewarm takes sometimes on
no,
that show.
I'm like,
That's
let's
a hot
give him
take.
a hot take, and also that doesn't mean I agree with her. I think that she is truly evil.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that she shouldn't be on the show for good television watching.
Exactly. That's what people are missing
That's
sometimes.
what they're
where it's
missing.
A good villain, a
Just
real
because
villain,
you
an
want-
actual
Yeah,
villain.
just because
Yes.
you want someone on a show or whatever
Yeah.
does not mean you like them or agree with
No.
them. We need someone we don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We feed off that.
Exactly. And they're not going to be getting like, look, they're not going to get the benefits of getting these brand deals and like all these.
No.
No one's going to work
Yeah.
with Jen Shaw because of the past.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, the fact that her sentence is 3 times as much as Diddy's is also crazy. But we don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
But back to the question at hand is Vanderpump Rules is the best one of
Yeah.
all time.
yeah, that's
It's probably one of the best reality shows ever made. Seasons 1
Yeah.
through 3 especially. Like, it's just unbeatable.
No contest.
OG
No
Stassi
contest.
Jax.
Ugh.
Like,
Jax, Lorelai.
Yeah.
oh my
Like,
God.
just like they
Right, talk
can't.
about another person that
And
you're
then
like, you made it on reality TV
Herbie
for
Yeah.
so long,
in,
being as insane as you were. Jack.
We're the
For me,
Millers.
We're the Millers.
Yeah.
Was
I'm
so,
leaving
like,
to do a
that being
Jennifer
the
Aniston
role
movie.
is so fucking funny.
I lived next to her, and her dog would take shits on my lawn all the time, and I self-taped Laura Lee multiple times
Oh
for
my God.
auditions, and she has put me on
that's- oh
tape
my
for
God.
auditions like 8 years ago.
And you're reading behind the camera.
reading me on the camera with Laura Lee.
That is
Oh gosh,
incredible.
that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
We could talk about
gosh.
Bravo
We could talk-
forever.
I'll
We could
come
talk
on
about
part
your
two.
book forever.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And we're going to talk about
exactly.
Bravo the whole
Yeah,
entire
Exactly.
time.
We'll have you back solely to do like Bravo
Please.
talk.
Yes.
Can't
If
wait.
you want
Amazing.
more attention.
Yeah.
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 Can't get enough.
Thank you
Had to write
so
a
much.
book.
I wrote this for attention. Is available now. I'm sure people can buy it wherever you buy books.
And if you
Or
don't want
listen.
to, I was going to say, if you don't want to read it, you can listen to it
Listen.
on Audible.
Yes.
Yep, there you go. Did you
Apple
did
Books.
you read the whole thing
Of
out
course I
loud?
did.
There you go.
You gotta do it in your own
you have to
voice.
do your own,
Yeah.
but
Soon AI will be doing it, but for now it's just
No,
no, we're
no,
not
we
doing
don't
AI.
want that.
Fuck AI.
no.
But thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thanks so
much.
much, guys.